section on why your rut happens. Your rut happens because there's like this cycle. This cycle starts with you feeling some sort of pain. Now this pain can vary, but at its core, this cycle starts when you get to a threshold where the pain is too unbearable. Then when you pass like this certain threshold of pain, you get this kind of drive. You know the meme on like TikTok or Instagram where they have like the 3 a.m. motivation. Think of that whenever you think of drive. Just like randomly you get this drive to go and do better things and do better habits that get you to achieve your goals. After this drive, you get a feeling of pride, or essentially you just feel good. Like your dopamine is up, you're doing the good habits, your mindfulness is up, you're seeing progress. You just feel good. Now the fourth stage, and the reason for it all, is comfort. This is where you just simply feel comfortable on where you're at right now. This is like at your peak of feeling no pain. You're feeling super good and you feel like things can actually go well. And then all of a sudden, the excuses start rolling in. Eat the cookie, it won't hurt, you say to yourself. You worked out for 2 weeks straight and you ate well, like pretty well on your diet. So that cookie won't hurt, and now you're binge eating. You've been crushing on your business and you say to yourself, skipping a day won't hurt, and now a week later you're back to your old habits. You've been doing great studying for that exam to get into your dream career, and now there's a voice telling you to relax and go to the party, and now you're hungover the next day and miss out on studying. You see this cycle? You see how like this cycle kind of relates to you in a way? So our goal with this cycle is to essentially cut out stage 3 and 4 of like this entire cycle, because these stages are the reasons why you go back into a rut, then come back out of it, then you're in a rut again, and it's basically the reason for this cycle. Now, what those stages have in common is that they're basically trying to fulfill something in you. And that once that fulfillment releases in you, the biggest driver, pain, so like, is just released. So now you're not really having the drive to actually, go and do the things that you have to do anymore. Our whole entire goal to get out of a rut is to essentially make it that like we feel pain. We feel like a pain that drives us. But instead of feeling pride after we feel the pain, we just feel the pain again. That's how you're going to get into a rut. But how exactly do you do that? Section 2, your duality. Okay, so what is a duality? Think of yin and yang whenever I say duality, where two seemingly opposite concepts coexist to create a whole. So think of like good and evil. Good needs evil because without evil, good doesn't exist, and vice versa. Or think of rich and poor. The rich need the poor in order to call themselves rich and exist in the first place. But we're not going to get into that. But also vice versa. The poor need the rich to be poor. So two opposite concepts that coexist to create a bigger whole. That's all duality is. So what do I mean by you are a duality? Well, first, let me ask you this. What makes you you? Like at your core, what are you? At your core, your awareness. And I can prove this through a meditation. Just close your eyes real quick and take 4 deep breaths with me. So close your eyes. We're going to take 1 deep breath. You can almost see like immediately that like through like the breaths, through the meditation, you can kind of feel like you're kind of separated from the breath. That you're not actually the one breathing, rather that you're just the spectator of the breath. And you can feel that like immediately if you do it correctly. If you just breathe in, take deep breaths, and just focus on the breath, you'll see that you're not really breathing. It feels like you're not really breathing. It feels like you're actually just watching the breath rather than you feeling the breath. So simply this just proves that you're just awareness. And a way this awareness or you yourself can materialize physically is through 1, a physical body, but 2, through a psyche. And your psyche is just your mind. So your awareness or you yourself materialize in this physical world through a body and a mind. Now I want to ask you another question. Are you a good person or a bad person? If you didn't say both, you're wrong. Because you are a duality. You aren't one or the other. You are both, but simply you just favor one side. That's all this is. And that favoring of one side simply just boils down to the events and experiences that you've been subjected through your life. You can see this through like, I don't want to get into this, but murderers or just a good Samaritan, like a functioning human being in society and a murderer, they probably have 2 different upbringings. And that's because, the murderer might have been abused, which caused them to, feel violent thoughts and all this stuff. But that's for another day. Anyways, Carl Jung states that our psyche or mind is just a bunch of pieces put together, and that depending on whatever you are, whatever you're doing, you exercise one part of your psyche. And you can see this in the world. Would you talk to your parents the same way you talk to your friends? Hell no. We know what you've been saying in those God lobbies, bro. We know you won't say that to your mom or dad. Would you talk to your parents the same way you talk to your teachers or boss? No, you wouldn't. That's because you're different parts. And you're all of these different parts all together that make up a whole. That's all you are. Well, not all you are, but that's what your psyche is. It's just parts that make up a whole. Think of this like a puzzle and a puzzle piece. And the puzzle piece is like a personality trait or like a part of your psyche. If you put all those personality traits or parts of your psyche together, you get you, basically. Just like if you put a bunch of puzzle pieces together, you get an image. It's the same thing. So in a duality, that means part of you can be good or bad, smart or dumb, calm and chaotic, spontaneous or not spontaneous, loud and quiet. That means that simply you being lazy and unmotivated during this rut proves that part of you has the capacity to be hardworking and disciplined. So basically, this existence of a rut shows you that you have the capacity, or at least part of you has the capacity to, be everything you ever wanted to be, to achieve your goals and be like this new version of yourself. That this existence of a rut simply demonstrates that you have the capacity to be everything you want to be, but you're just not exercising it, and you're just favoring the side that doesn't allow you to be that thing. It's just through the years you favored one. And how exactly can this help us? It can help us through understanding that two parts of our psyche are in constant battle with each other. Because a rut is essentially two parts of your psyche that are battling each other. And those two parts are stage 1 and stage 4 in the cycle. One part of your psyche drives you to do the thing, and the other part battles that part and essentially brings it all down, which causes you to be in a rut. So how can you stop this? Section 3, shadow work. What is shadow work? It's not as dark as it seems. It's not like a thing where you're going to go into the depths of your soul and become a demon or something. Shadow work is a term coined by Carl Jung, which essentially is where you dive into your unconscious mind, the one we can't see, the one that the conscious mind, that's our thoughts and stuff, but the unconscious is the things that's in the back of our mind. Like walking, for example, that's an unconscious thing. And basically you dive into your unconscious mind and integrate parts of your repressed self. And repression basically just means that you're just actively avoiding it. And this repression can make you do things that you don't understand. You ever did something and you're like, why did I do that? That's because you probably have repressed feelings in your unconscious, which basically drove you to do that thing. So what shadow work can help us do is essentially uncover and attack the root cause of our problem, which is that you can't get out of a rut. So how do you do shadow work? Simply just close your eyes and think of why you keep on going into a rut. What are the things that cause you to go into a rut? What are the feelings that help you or drive yourself to get out of the rut? And what are the feelings that basically, make you go into a rut? And just sit there. And after a while, things will kind of make sense of it all, and you'll get two feelings. For me, it was inferiority and superiority. The inferiority drove me to get out of the rut, and the superiority was the reasons for me to be in the rut again. And that was my cycle. I felt inferior. I couldn't bear the feeling or pain of inferiority anymore. So that drove me to do the things. And after I felt some sort of superiority, I basically got too comfortable, and then the rut started again. But just because you found your two feelings, that doesn't mean the full thing is done. That doesn't mean shadow work is done. Now after you got your two feelings, I want you to go back to memories that might have ingrained into you, those feelings. Maybe your true feeling was anger and calm. And the anger drives you, and the calm essentially drives everything else down. Or maybe it's uncertainty and certainty. Maybe the uncertainty of the future drives you, and when you start doing this stuff and seeing progress, you become certain in the future. And that can end your rut. I mean, not end your rut, but start your rut again. Or maybe insecurity with yourself makes you get out of the rut, and the confidence pushes you back in. I mean, there's a lot of feelings that can go on to this. And that's the beauty of it, that there's so many feelings that can cause your cycle, and there isn't one single objective feeling. They vary from person to person. But back to the steps again. Step 2, you basically go and you just go back into your memories or like the events that might have triggered these emotions for you. So for example, I'll give my 2 feelings and give like my example. And my 2 feelings, I already said them, but superiority and inferiority. And immediately I knew why like I was feeling this way. For me, it all started in kindergarten, where my teachers would tell me how smart I was, how I was so ahead and advancing everyone in my class. Even my parents told me. Now, you'd be like, wow, positive reinforcement, this and that. But actually, what it did is it instilled an idea that if I'm not the best or better than you at something, I'm a failure. And that I'm inferior to you as a person if you're better than me at this thing. And whenever someone was better than me at something or beat me in something like a game of basketball, even the littlest things like that, I would make an excuse to make myself feel better. And in the end, like this kind of dynamic basically followed me throughout my life. For example, if I felt like I was inferior to someone in a skill, I would do that skill until I felt like I was superior to them, or at least felt superior again. And this is essentially what happened during my ruts. I would feel a pain, and this pain was the pain of feeling inferior, basically. Nobody wants to feel inferior, right? And this inferiority would drive me to go and do the things I have to do, right? It will give me this kind of motivation to do the things I have to do. And then when I reached like a certain point, right, and I started feeling good about myself and I started seeing progress and I was being consistent and all this other stuff, I felt superior again, and then I'll stop. And the excuses would just start flowing in. Oh, you can skip this day, you did enough. And it would just go in again and again and again. And I would give in to the excuses over and over and over because I've gotten my superiority again. And it was never about that goal. It was never about the 10K a month or getting the aesthetic body. It was just to make me feel like I was superior again. Superiority was the goal for me. And once I got that superiority, I felt like this thing didn't matter anymore. That's the reason for my rut. And I'm not gonna lie, I started this YouTube channel and started doing business for my ego. If I saw 1 million subs or 1 million views on a video, I would feel superior because 1 million people would be looking at me, taking my advice and seeing results with my advice. Imagine how superior that would make you feel. That's what I said in my head. Imagine how much pride you'll have if you got those play buttons, especially a golden play button, and put it on your wall. And that would just be my daily reminder that I'm better than everyone. That's why when I got that feeling that I am better than everyone, I stopped making videos, because it was never about the videos. It was about me making myself feel better. And you can see it through my recent videos. You see how spaced out they are. And I started this YouTube channel almost a year ago, and I only have 23 videos. That is crazy. Like, I was not consistent at all. I was just trying to get that superiority, or I got that superiority. I'm waking up before everybody else. I'm doing 4 hours of deep work. I'm better than everyone. I don't need to do this anymore. That's how I felt, and that's why I kept on getting it on rut after rut after rut. And I'm not gonna lie, I've just found out about this information like a month ago, and I've been going through this process, and I'm 100% certain that from now on you'll see 5 videos every week for the rest of my days. So step 1, figure out the feeling that drives the rut. Step 2, go back to the events or memories that you believe were the origin of like this dynamic. Like, were you bullied and that's why insecurity drives you? Or did your parents beat you so that's why fear drives you? Whatever it is, try and see the feelings that drive all of this. And the third step is integration, which basically means that you help these 2 parts of your psyche battling to be able to see eye to eye. And you do this by incorporating these parts in your life. So for me, what I did is I started to integrate the feeling of inferiority and superiority in my life in a healthy way, keyword healthy way. For inferiority, I basically just started doing things I actually suck at and realized that I can't be the best at everything. And just because I'm not better at a person at one thing doesn't mean I can't be better than them in another thing. And it's that simple for that. And for superiority, I realized that if my ego can change people's life, why not? Why not embrace that my ego is fragile? Why not use my want for superiority and selfish desires to change the world? Because I'm not gonna lie. I just said it, but these videos are selfish. They're for me. They're for my ego, for me to feel superior, to see the numbers go up, all this other stuff. And the calls too, the same with the calls too. It's just for me to feel superior, helping a person, making them feel good, all that stuff. But if these videos can help you, if these videos can help you and the calls and all this other stuff can help you, why the fuck not would I do it? Even if it's not for you fully and it's mostly for me, why would I not do them if they can help people? Why can I use like that fragile ego and like that feeling of needing to be superior to everyone to basically to help people? Why can't I do that? And that's basically what I went through. That's basically my thought process. Why can't I just, help people even if it's not for them, even if it's for me? And that's just how I went about it. I started just to accept these parts of myself, and I kind of integrated them into my life. I'm just trying to be honest here. So essentially, integrate these things into yourself and basically help them see eye to eye through acceptance and exercising these traits into your life. So for example, if it's insecurity and confidence, you can accept that whatever you're doing is simply for confidence. Simply just be brutally honest on why you're doing the thing. Why do you want to make money? Why do you want the aesthetic body? Be brutally honest on why you want to achieve the goal. Just be brutally honest on why, like the actual reason why you want to achieve this goal. And this will help you get out the rut, because it's kind of like you're accepting a part of yourself that you were repressing. And this repressed part is kind of trying to communicate to you by saying, you have to accept me, you have to accept me. And that's why you're in a rut. Because I like to think of it as part of like your repressed feelings, or like repressed feelings. It's kind of just trying to communicate you using the rut. So basically just think of it like that. You integrate these things together through acceptance and honesty, and simply just exercising these traits in a healthy manner in the real world. This integration will essentially stop the battle between one part of your psyche and the other part of your psyche. I want to add that this isn't a simple process. It'll never be a simple process. It's going to take time. I'm still in the process of it currently. I haven't done it yet. I've only been doing it for around a month and some change, right? There's still like some days where I almost slip up, but trust me, in the end, it's all worth it. Trust me. And it's going to be a long process, and you'll probably fail again and again. But you'll see that through like the months and the years, you have more clarity, and you'll be more sure of yourself. Section 4, motivation and mindset. Now your mindset, like going forward, should be focusing on the things you should be doing and not the result. This means whatever your goal is, find the things that give you the most output relative to your input or your highest leverage task. You'll find out what they are if you watch like my latest video on how to outwork everyone. I cover all what you need to do to find your highest leverage task, how to block your days, all that stuff. So if you need help with that, you can watch that video. Now basically frame your mindset that if you don't do X, you have failed that day. So for me, since it's summer, I have all day. If I haven't script, record, edit, and upload one video, do 50 cold DMs, and work out, I have failed the day. Nothing else matters but those. If I checked all 3 of those boxes, I have won the day. And what this does is it puts you in a state of constant drive, because tomorrow you haven't done or uploaded one video. You haven't done 50 cold DMs. You haven't worked out. So tomorrow you're in a state of like pain. Not pain, but you get what I'm saying. You're in a state of drive, and you'll basically have that drive to do whatever it is so you can have that good day. So at the end of the day, I can say that it was a good day if I did those 3 things. And that's the mindset shift you need to have from now on. Stop focusing on the results, but focus on the things you have to do. And if you don't do those things you have to do, you have failed the day. That's all you have to do to maintain that drive, to maintain so you don't feel like comfortable or complacent anymore. Because you're kind of shifting it that every day you start from 0, right? Every day you start from 0, and you have to build yourself up to 100 by the end of the day. That's how you have to frame your mindset from now on. Now for motivation. Your motivation should be the opposite of the thing that drives you. So for example, instead of my motivation or drive being because I feel inferior, I can switch it and make my motivation or drive to be because I want to feel superior. So essentially flip the original motivation that kept you going and put it in the opposite and more positive lens. So if it's insecurity and confidence, make your motivation or reason of like you doing whatever you're doing of instead of I do blank because I'm insecure. Say I do blank so I can be confident. So you basically just switch it into the more positive lens, because that basically means the same thing. Those are the same thing. It's just that simple switch in the word confidence from insecurity makes it more positive. And for example, I do blank because I'm fearful of my future. You can say I do blank so I can understand my future. And it goes on and on and on. I also want to add that I have free one-on-one calls. And if you watch through this whole thing, you're my ideal customer. So if you have any problems in terms of improving oneself and you need help with achieving like your goals, you can click the link in my description for free one-on-one calls. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I wish you luck on your journey, and peace.